They say when you chase a goat to the wall, it doesn't just turn back, it charges. And right now in Sokoto State that goat is not only charging, it is kicking down doors and claiming the whole compound. Because what we are seeing this morning is not just retaliation, it looks like a full-blown takeover attempt. And yes, you saw the headline. This is the kind of update that makes you ask yourself whether we are truly winning this war or just pushing the problem from one village to the next like a deadly game of musical chairs, because we are receiving confirmed and deeply disturbing reports dated today, January 13, 2026, that the notorious bandit warlord Bello Turji has launched a fresh and aggressive campaign across parts of eastern Sokoto. And this is coming just days after those widely celebrated US-supported air operations that were supposed to crush terror camps in the northwest. But instead of seeing handcuffs and surrender, what we are now seeing is vengeance, boldness, and a dangerous shift in strategy, because Turji has reportedly stormed communities in ISA local government area and issued a chilling message that no innocent civilian should ever hear, leave your homes within 24 hours or face consequences. And right now the villages of Tidibale and Bargaja are the center of this nightmare as families are being forced to choose between running into uncertainty or staying behind under threat. And if you're wondering why this is happening, security analysts are already pointing to the air bombardments in the Tangaza and Gudu forest corridors as the trigger, because when you squeeze armed groups in their hideouts, they don't always disappear, sometimes they relocate, and sadly, the easiest places to hide are not deep forests anymore but civilian settlements where airstrikes cannot be freely deployed without risking massive loss of innocent lives, which makes this move both cruel and calculated. Because according to eyewitness accounts, the attack didn't start like the usual hit-and-run kidnapping raids. This time it was different. Turji allegedly led the convoy himself, arriving on motorcycles, firing into the air not just to scare people but to announce dominance, then gathering community elders and delivering what can only be described as an eviction notice at gunpoint, telling entire villages that their land now belongs to bandits. And this is not rumor-level panic, because only 2 days before the Tidibale incident, Bargaja village reportedly experienced the same pattern, which is why many experts are now saying this is not random violence but a deliberate attempt to carve out a civilian buffer zone, a human shield belt where militants can blend into everyday life and make military retaliation extremely complicated. And while all of this sounds like something from a war movie, the reality on the ground is far more painful. Because imagine being told you have less than a day to abandon the house your parents and grandparents built, women tying babies to their backs, men trying to move what little livestock they can save, children confused, crying, asking questions nobody has answers to, and roads leading toward ISA town and nearby shelters already filling up with people carrying mattresses, pots, school bags, and fear, turning entire communities into overnight refugees. And the hardest question everyone is asking right now is painfully simple: where is the ground response? Because if intelligence knew these groups would retaliate after air operations, why were these villages not protected? Why does it feel like the air war moved fast but the ground defense stayed silent? And this is where the so-called victory narrative from last week starts to crack, because if a warlord can still organize convoys, issue ultimatums, and displace thousands, then clearly his operational capacity was not neutralized the way many headlines suggested. In fact, his actions now look even more daring, almost like a challenge to state authority, because forcing citizens off their land is not just terrorism, it is territorial control, and that is a dangerous escalation, and this puts the military in a brutal dilemma. Do you launch a ground operation into villages where civilians are trapped, risking collateral harm, or do you wait and allow criminals to entrench themselves deeper into civilian life, turning communities into shields and strongholds? And this is not an easy decision.
In a bid to overrun the police, we will also honor the bravery of the Civilian Joint Task Force (CJTF) member who paid the supreme price while defending that facility. If you want to understand why this attack is a direct response to the 200 bandits killed in the recent airstrikes and what this means for the safety of Nigeria's largest industrial hub, please do me a massive favor and smash that like button right now. It helps helps us show the world the sacrifices our local heroes are making. And if you are not yet a subscriber, click that button and turn on the notification bell. You need to be here as we track this escalating battle for the soul of Kogi State. Let's get into the gist of this intense firefight. To understand what happened on Sunday night, you have to remember what happened on Saturday. We told you about the massive joint operation where the police helicopters and the army neutralized scores of bandits in the forest. Security sources are now putting that figure at over 200 terrorists killed. That is a massive blow. The bandits were bleeding, they were scattered, and they were angry. So, late on Sunday night, January 11, 2026, they decided to strike back. They chose a target that would make a loud statement.
Talk about it. Because silence is exactly what allows these situations to repeat themselves, and we will continue. Tracking that 24-hour deadline, what response comes from security forces, and where these displaced families are taken, because this is not just another headline, this is a developing human crisis.
They were well armed and they were desperate. They launched a furious assault on the security